Hey everybody, welcome back to a video here. This is Wombo Bombo combos that you may or may not know of, part 2. So this is our next one. This is the next card. Our first video we did Panharmonicon, and the next one is Vesuvan Duplimancy. And this particular card is 3 colorless, 1 blue. It's an enchantment. It's a mythic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or a creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that artifact or creature, except it's not legendary. The key part about this text is that it has to be only a single target. So, for instance, we are playing like a card called March of the Swirling Mist in one of these decks. Perhaps actually in both of the decks, now that I think about it. However, both decks are significantly different. So in that particular card, if you were to use it on multiple targets, you would not get this trigger. However, if you only targeted one of your creatures with that single spell, you would get that trigger. You would get if it was any creature, with this on the battlefield, like for instance, maybe you have Haughty Djinns on the battlefield, you're gonna make another Haughty Djinn. If it's legendary, you're gonna make a copy of that, except it's not gonna be legendary. It's fantastic. This card is so good. It's just great. I love it. So what are we gonna do with it? There's kind of a straightforward way to go about this, and I'll kind of feature the commanders that I like to play with this particular card. And the first one is Brokos, Apex of Forever. I would say like this is just a card I really like. I love the art of the original too, and it was really hard to decide like to pick in between the original art from Ikoria and this showcase. But the showcase one is awesome too. So it's a great, like, it just kind of pops out. It just kind of yells at your opponents. It's just a really fun card. I mean, people kind of prefer like maybe Otrimi or Ivy as Mutate commander. I do really like Brokos just because I could just always have it as a Mutate. Like even if it dies or it's removed, I just have it in the graveyard and it's just like easy mutates, you know, and it just keeps that mutate cost from the graveyard. I don't get like a commander tax I don't return it to the command zone. If it gets put to the graveyard, just keep it in the graveyard and just kind of mutate it on back to the battlefield. I really like that about Brokos a lot. I think it's fantastic. It's just a big 6/6. You can cast it for the 5 cost or even mutate it if you prefer to mutate it. So sweet. I just love it. So that's Brokos. The other commander I really enjoy playing with Vesuvan Duplimancy is Aragorn, the Uniter. And this is from the new Lord of the Rings set. Aragorn the Uniter is a red, green, white, and blue casting cost spell. It's a legendary creature, human noble, also a mythic rarity. And the text for this is whenever you cast a white spell, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, Aragorn the Uniter deals 3 damage to target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets 4/4 until end of turn. All the modes are really fantastic on this card. When this card really gets cooking is when you're making copies of it that are able to stick to the battlefield. Ways you can do this is like with cards like Spark Double. That can kind of, Shakashimi. Those cards can get you that criteria for basically keeping the copy of your Aragorn and without legend ruling it. So legend ruling basically meaning that if you have 2 copies on the battlefield, only 1 remains. So we want to get out of that. We want to be able to keep both legendaries on the battlefield at the same time. And there are cards that let us do that. Vesuvan Duplimancy, the one we just mentioned, has that in the text. So why do we want 2 Aragorn the Uniters on the battlefield? Well, or multiples of them. It's just because its abilities really play well with the commander itself. So our commander, Aragorn the Uniter, not the token versions that you make that don't legend rule out Aragorn. that single commander is going to be really our driving force to like getting wins through commander damage. That's kind of going to be our main focus for that deck, and the +4/+4 is really a good window into that. Additionally, just getting the damage to the face is really good with Aragorn. Creating the white human tokens, the scries are also very useful too, of course. So we talked about both of the commanders. We can go over kind of the cards that kind of worked into that particular strategy and kind of the payoffs of playing Vesuvan Duplimancy. Overall, just having this card down in a Mutate deck is just very, very helpful because Mutate is a spell that targets. So it will remain as a single target for those creatures that you target with a Mutate. So that is kind of like, that is the driving force. We're going to be targeting our creatures through Mutate, and we're going to be making copies of those creatures that already exist. We're just going to be additionally making an additional copy. I think a really good example of kind of like how this can be a strong effect is maybe just looking at kind of the creatures that we can be duplicating, so to speak. So for instance, let's imagine that we have an Avenger Zendikar on the battlefield in a Vesuvan Duplimancy, and we go ahead and mutate onto the Avenger. We're going to go ahead and make a copy, and that copy is going to enter the battlefield, and we're going to get all those enter the battlefield triggers. Fantastic. Same goes for a card like Terastodon. These are all cards that I have in my Brokos deck, because once I mutate onto these things, then I'm going to make it a copy. I'm going to get all those. I'm going to get the benefit of having that strong creature on the battlefield, and I'm going to get those enter the battlefield triggers as well. So it's just like a no-brainer. Additionally, I think it would be fun to kind of highlight how we're going to be copying legendaries like we would with the Aragorn deck. We could go ahead and go, once we mutate onto a coma, we're going to make another coma. And it's not going to be legend ruled, so we're going to just be having a very strong board state. And it's going to be very hard to deal with that kind of sequencing. So, big fans of Vesuvan Duplimancy in our Mutate deck, though, most definitely. The Mutate cards are going to be very prevalent in those decks, and we're going to be able to take advantage of that and have strong creatures, whether they have entered the battlefield triggers or not. We're just going to be making more and more creatures because we're just going to be mutating onto the ones already on the battlefield and creating extra copies. Additionally, we will also go into the payoffs for Aragorn. So let's go ahead and just kind of remove this, and we'll go one by one here. So we want to think about the things that are good with Aragorn, right? So Aragorn is kind of like a spell-slinger deck, so to speak. You get a lot of value from playing, on the lower casting sorceries and instants that will help trigger the Aragorn abilities. So we also like to take advantage of our graveyard too with Aragorn too, like just because we want to keep on reiterating, right? We want to keep on reiterating our spells and getting all the benefits and triggers that Aragorn has to offer for us. So like a perfect card for Aragorn is just like, especially in a Vesuvan Duplimancy, it's just going to be like, just going to be really helpful as like a Homestead Courage. So I will zoom out for this one because I just want to kind of just illustrate like just the power of this kind of sequencing. So we'll have we'd have like our Aragorn on the battlefield, and we'll have our Vesuvan Duplimancy. They'll both be on the battlefield there. Just want to make sure the picture looks good. And so we're just imagining that we have both of these going, and we're just, through our deck here, and, maybe we've reached like, turn 6 or so. We're at a kind of a key turn for our game. And we go ahead and drop a Vesuvan Duplimancy onto Aragorn. Or the Homestead Courage, I'm sorry. And we'd immediately, upon this resolving, we'd just go ahead and make additional Aragorn. We would get the Aragorn triggers of making the 1/1 soldier token, and then this would be going right to our graveyard. And then if we had an additional planes available, we would just go ahead and do it again. Now it'd be stacking the Aragorn triggers because we'd have 2 on the battlefield. If this resolved once more, now we would have 3 Aragorns on the battlefield. And having 2 Aragorns on the battlefield is enough. Like, if you have 3 on the battlefield, it's just going to be very problematic for any opponents to keep up with. You're going to be able to, likely start swinging on opponents that maybe don't have very good board states. And it does happen from some time to time. And if they're unable to defend themselves with say we play a green spell now, a low cost green spell. Now Aragorn could be a 17/17, or we could just go ahead and basically add the all the buffs to it. It would be a 17/17, and we could perhaps get close to some commander damage killing. So Aragorn is just a fantastic commander already, and just having these like kind of different interactions to like kind of boost our commander. Our commander that will be dealing the commander lethal damage, that's just icing on the cake. So we do really like, I like Aragorn. I think it's probably one of my favorite, I think it's probably one of my more powerful commanders that I play. It definitely can hang with like, some other decks, and it really can kind of cause trouble. It has blue in it too, so blue is also just a very strong color. Let's not be too worried about that. That's for certain. So let's just kind of go through kind of like the additional ways to proc Aragorn. So here's some more additional cards that would do so in my pile that I'm playing. Again, this is just a nice utility card to help defend our Aragorn and our board state, but like I said, it could also be used in a pinch to just target Aragorn with the Duplimancy on the battlefield, and we would get that nice trigger to duplicate Aragorn. Most of the charms have the ability to just target a single target too. So Boris Charm is like kind of like that nice one that we're going to also be able to target Aragorn if we need to, if we want to. It just has so many different modes. It's just a very good multifaceted card for this particular deck. So it just that target creature gains double strike until end of turn could be nice as well for Aragorn. So it is instant speed also. So we do like that. And it could be definitely used as that criteria for the Duplimancy. Broker's Charm, similarly. I have gone through all the charms for Aragorn. I've picked the ones I believe would do best for the Vesuvan Duplimancy that would have synergy. And I would say really all on their own, the ones I would chosen, I would say they are very decent. So they just have a lot of utility, and I'd say they're on the more decent side than not. So I really do like the Broker's Charm. I like that you could, get those 2 extra cards if you really needed to draw them. And also like that you could have Aragorn like basically be turned into an 8/8 and then attack or then fight like one of our opponent's creatures. So it doesn't even have to be fight, actually. It just deals the damage, so that's kind of nice. We don't even have to deal damage to our own creature, which is cool, or through the fight, so that's cool. I really like this one a lot. This one is fun because if you have like a card like Balaged Recovery or Galabed Recovery, you can just loop it over and over again and get like all the Aragorn triggers. So it's just like value overload with certain cards like that you can just return to your hand. So you can just like have like a loop basically. So that's it's really interesting. But once again, this one's fun too because you can basically tap all of the creatures on a board and have Aragorn like swing in for commander lethal, which I do a lot with this deck. So more often than not, which is really interesting actually. I've seen like a couple of different equipment decks at my LGS, and I know that's kind of what they're gearing up for, is kind of that Voltron, and this is it, man. Aragorn is like the craziest Voltron deck ever. It really is bizarre, like how many people you can take out when it starts rolling. It's just really devastating. So yeah, Naya Charm is nice, right? Because we could target Aragorn with it, you know, if we wanted. If we did have that kind of a, you know, Vesuvan Duplimancy on the battlefield, it would deal damage to him, but he would survive, and we get another Aragorn, which would be cool. We get the kind of Gala Bed Recovery, return target card from your graveyard to its owner's hand, which is really nice. And then tap all creatures target player controls, which is also very useful. It could be very useful for us. And once again, why these cards are good too is because of the various casting costs, colors in the casting costs, which Aragorn really thrives with. Additionally, here's just slip out the back. I do like phasing out. I think phasing out is just a really nice feature. I think it kind of gets around many things, right? Maybe all of the things that kind of affect our creatures on our opponent's turn. So phasing out is very cool, and this would phase out Aragorn. It would be a single target and would work quite well with our Vesuvan Duplimancy. Same thing with Decisive Denial. This kind of acts as like a nice, could act as a nice non-creature counter spell, and additionally, it could also act as a nice fight spell. So all these cards are just, you know, they're pretty mediocre as they stand, but with Aragorn, like having those kind of colors in their symbol, it really makes them stand out. It makes them really good all-stars, you know. And just the fact that we can play so many spells in our deck, and you know, through all of these are just all very nice, and they're going to work very well with our Vesuvan Duplimancy, especially Homestead Courage. This is outrageous. So yeah, that's the card, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and go find a Vesuvan Duplimancy, and maybe try to build your own deck around it. And let me know in the comments what decks you're playing with Vesuvan Duplimancy. Are you still trying to play it in standard? Like, because the standard is so large, you know, now that maybe there's a nice Vesuvan Duplimancy deck that we could still be working on in standard. Or, you know, is this more of like for your commander decks, or maybe some other formats, you know? Always interested to see and hear from all of you what you have to say. So feel free to reach out anytime. I'm always on the other side. Bye.